The night my husband left me, it wasn't with a fight or tears. It was with a text. Don't wait up. That's all it said. No heart, no explanation, just 3 words that felt like a bullet made of pixels. I was sitting in our kitchen, marble counters, dimmed lights, a half-empty glass of Chardonnay sweating next to my phone. Our twins were asleep upstairs, their bedroom lights casting soft blue shadows down the hall. I stared at that message for 10 whole minutes before it hit me. He didn't mean don't wait up like he was stuck in surgery again. He meant it like he wasn't coming back tonight. Dr. William Carter, world-class cardiac surgeon. Charming, brilliant, devastatingly composed. The man everyone said was too good to be true. Turns out, he was. We had the kind of life people post on Instagram to make others jealous. A colonial mansion in Oakdale Heights, weekend getaways to Napa, dinner parties that look straight out of a damn lifestyle magazine. People said we were #couple goals. We weren't. We were just good actors. But that night, the mask cracked. The next morning, when I walked into our closet, my world stopped cold. His gym bag, black leather, monogrammed WJC, was on the floor, half-zipped. He never left it like that. William was obsessive about neatness. He once folded hospital scrubs with surgeon-level precision. But inside that bag was a crumpled white shirt. And on that shirt, blood-red lipstick. It wasn't mine. You ever feel your stomach drop so fast you think you might pass out? That was me, standing there, barefoot, on the heated marble floor, holding that shirt like it was a live grenade. 15 years of marriage, 3 kids, 1 big illusion, and I was staring at the first undeniable truth. I knew that shade of red. Crimson Heat by Dior. I'd seen it on the lips of women at hospital charity events. One woman in particular, Dr. Rebecca Harrington. Young, confident, the kind of woman who made men lose focus mid-sentence. I used to tell William she had the kind of ambition that burned bridges. He'd just laugh and say, that's what makes her a great doctor. Turns out, it also made her a great mistress. The lipstick stain wasn't faint, either. It was smeared, like she'd pressed her mouth against his chest. And I swear I could almost hear the echo of their laughter in that sterile, too-perfect closet. That's when I realized something. Marriages don't explode in one moment. They erode, slowly, silently, while you're busy making dinner or folding laundry or keeping up appearances. William and I had been dying for years. I'd just been too in love, too blind, or maybe too damn proud to admit it. I could have screamed, smashed his expensive cufflinks, maybe thrown the shirt out the window, but I didn't. I'm not the type to explode. I implode, quietly, methodically. And when I break smart. I put the shirt back, zipped the bag, and poured myself another glass.
I wanted to laugh. Instead, I just said, "Dinner's in the oven." The next day, I called my sister Claire. She's a divorce attorney in Chicago. Twice divorced herself with a personality like espresso. Sharp, dark, no sugar. "Jen," she said after I told her about the lipstick, "you sure you're ready to know the truth? Because once you start digging, you won't stop." "Yeah," I said. "I think I've been living in denial long enough." She sighed. "Then get ready, babe. Because once men like him start lying, they don't stop at lipstick." I laughed, but my voice cracked. "What do I even do?" "First," she said, "you don't confront him yet. You play it cool. You act like nothing's wrong. You get your ducks in a row. Bank records, assets, everything. If he's cheating, there's more under the surface. Always is." So that's what I did. For 2 weeks, I acted like the wife I used to be. I packed his lunch, smiled at PTA meetings, wore my wedding ring like it meant something. Meanwhile, I started gathering information. It's funny how fast you start noticing patterns once you stop lying to yourself. Late nights, sudden emergency calls, weekends with colleagues. I checked his dry cleaning receipts, and there it was again. Charges from a boutique hotel downtown. Not the kind of place doctors stay for conferences. The kind of place people go to get lost. Then came the real kicker. I was syncing his phone calendar to plan our anniversary weekend in Napa when I saw her name pop up. Dinner with R. 8 recurring events. I clicked the message thread, and that's when my heart broke for real. Rebecca Harrington. Last night was perfect. Still thinking about your hands. William. You're addictive. Don't ever stop. Rebecca. I won't, unless you go back to her. William. Never again. She's just routine now. Routine. That's what 15 years of love, sacrifices, and raising his children meant to him. Routine. I stared at those texts until my vision blurred. Then I put the phone down, walked to the bathroom, locked the door, and cried so hard I couldn't breathe. But when I was done, I looked at myself in the mirror. Mascara smeared, lips trembling, but there was something new in my eyes. Not weakness, not sadness. Power. That was the night I decided William Carter was about to learn what happens when a routine wife stops pretending. For the next month, I played the part perfectly. I cooked his favorite meals, I complimented his suits, I laughed at his dry jokes. He had no idea the woman standing in front of him was documenting every financial transaction, every withdrawal, every piece of evidence that would eventually destroy him. It's amazing how arrogance blinds people. Then one night, he walked into our bedroom like he was walking into a courtroom. Calm, controlled, detached. Jennifer, he said, we need to talk. I knew what was coming. I just didn't expect it to sound so rehearsed. He said, I think we should end this. It's not working anymore. I've changed. You've changed. We deserve different things. Different things, like 30-year-old cardiologists who wear crimson heat lipstick? I didn't say that. I just stared at him. You want a divorce? Yes. Because of her? He hesitated. Just a flicker. Then, no, because I'm done pretending. I almost laughed. Pretending? That's rich coming from you. Look, he said, rubbing his temples like I was some patient with an unsolvable condition. But it's about Ashford and your husband. You might want to meet in person. The next afternoon, we met at a small cafe downtown. He looked older, worn out, like someone who'd seen too much and couldn't unsee it. Your husband, he began, stirring his black coffee, was part of something unethical. Back at the fertility clinic. My blood ran cold. The fertility clinic? Yes, he said, during your IVF treatments. I froze. I'd almost forgotten those years, the endless injections, failed attempts, the heartbreak, the eventual miracle of our twins. What about it? I whispered. He leaned forward. William and the clinic director, Dr. Mercer, were manipulating results, tampering with genetic samples, substituting specimens. I blinked. That makes no sense. It does, he said quietly, if your husband didn't want to risk passing on something hereditary. He slid a small flash drive across the table. You need to see this. I left the cafe shaking. That night, when the kids were asleep, I opened the drive. Hospital records, lab reports, William's signature on several authorization forms. Next to each, specimen replacement approved. It took me a few seconds to understand what that meant. Then it hit me like a punch to the chest. Our children might not be his. That night, I barely slept. My mind kept flashing through 15 years of family photos, birthdays, holidays, every "you have your father's eyes" comment from strangers. What if none of it was true?
I needed proof. The next day, I collected samples. Hair from the twins' brushes, saliva from their toothbrushes, a comb from William's bathroom. I sent them off to a private genetic lab under fake names. The wait was hell. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart jumped. Every time William kissed me goodbye, I wanted to scream. And then, 3 days later, the email arrived. Results available. I opened it and my world shattered. Paternity probability? 0%. I just sat there staring at the words. 0. Not unlikely, not uncertain. 0. He'd lied to me from the beginning. The affair, the manipulation, the arrogance, it all made sense now. He'd never intended for me to know the truth. He wanted the perfect wife, perfect kids, perfect image, and he built it all on a lie so massive it could destroy everything he had ever touched. That night, while he slept in the guest room, I printed 3 copies of that report. One went to my lawyer, one to a safety deposit box, and one to the envelope I'd eventually slide across the table in front of his mistress. Because if William Carter thought he could just walk away from this family unscathed, he was about to learn what betrayal really looked like. I wasn't just going to take him down, I was going to dismantle his entire empire. He thought the DNA test was my ending, but it was just the beginning of his. The morning after I got the DNA results, I woke up before sunrise. The house was dead silent. But my brain? It was loud. Too loud. The kind of noise that rattles your bones. William was still asleep in the guest room, dead to the world, like nothing in his perfect little bubble had popped yet. Meanwhile, I was in the kitchen, scrolling through that email again, rereading those words that had turned my life inside out. Paternity probability, 0%. It looked clinical, cold. But what it meant my entire marriage had been built on a lie. 15 years of my life, gone. I remember staring at the marble countertop, thinking, I married a man who didn't just cheat on me, he experimented on me. That realization hit harder than anything else. It wasn't about Rebecca anymore. It wasn't even about the affair. It was about power. He made a decision that changed the DNA of my entire family and never once thought I deserved to know. By 6 a.m., I'd stopped crying. My tears had dried into something meaner, heavier, the kind of anger that doesn't scream, the kind that plans. When William walked into the kitchen, he looked like hell, disheveled, unshaven. Maybe guilt had finally started tapping on his conscience, or maybe he just didn't sleep well without his side piece. "Morning," he said, grabbing the coffee pot. "Morning," I replied, calm, steady. If he noticed the edge in my tone, he didn't show it. He poured his coffee, 2 spoons of sugar, always 2, and sat across from me like we were still some happily married couple. "I'll be moving out soon," he said, casually, like he was telling me he'd run out of toothpaste. "Oh," I raised an eyebrow. "Where to? The hospital? Or the Crimson Heat suite at the Grandview?" He froze mid-sip, just for a second. Then that tired smirk. "I don't know what you think you know, Jen, but I don't have the energy for drama." Drama. That word almost made me laugh. My whole damn life was a screenplay written by his lies. Instead, I leaned back and said, "That's fine. I'll have my lawyer reach out once you're settled." He blinked. "Lawyer?" "Yeah," I said sweetly. "She'll explain the terms better than I could, especially when she's done reviewing your clinic records." That got him. His eyes snapped up. Sharp. Alarmed. "What records?" "Don't play dumb, Will," I said softly. "You're good at pretending, but not that good." His jaw tightened. "You have no idea what you're talking about." "Don't I?" I tilted my head. "Funny, because I've got files with your signature all over them." For a moment, his mask slipped. "You don't want to go down this road, Jennifer." "Oh, I do," I said. "In fact, I think I've been living on that road for 15 years without even knowing it." He stood up, muttered something under his breath, grabbed his coat, and left. The door slammed so hard the chandelier trembled. I stood there, hands shaking, not from fear, but from adrenaline. That was the moment I knew I had him cornered.
That afternoon, I met Claire at her downtown office. She had her reading glasses perched on her nose and a grin that could slice glass. "You did good, sis." She flipped through the DNA report and clinic documents. "You've got leverage, the kind that destroys careers." "I don't just want a divorce," I said. "I want his world to burn." Claire smirked. "Now you're speaking my language." She leaned forward. "Here's what we'll do. You file quietly. We subpoena the clinic's financials. If he falsified patient records or medical authorizations, that's federal. He won't just lose his license, he could face time." The thought didn't scare me. It satisfied me. "And the mistress?" I asked. "Leave her to me," she said. "I'll make sure her hospital board knows exactly what kind of extracurricular activity she's been performing." I nodded, but it didn't feel sweet. Revenge didn't taste like victory. It tasted like ash. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat on the porch wrapped in a blanket, sipping whiskey straight from the glass. The air smelled like rain and cedar. I used to love this house. Now it felt like a museum of lies. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Mrs. Carter," a man's voice said. "Detective Langley, Ashford PD. We need to speak about your husband." My pulse spiked. "What about him?" "There's been a report filed by Dr. Rebecca Harrington. She claims your husband's been harassing her, threatening her career. We'd like you to verify some information." I almost laughed. "So the mistress is playing victim now. How convenient." "Ma'am?" "Nothing," I said quickly. "I'll come by tomorrow." I hung up, sitting in the dark. Rebecca was turning the tables. Maybe she was scared. Maybe William had snapped. Or maybe they were both playing me. Either way, something wasn't adding up. By morning, I decided to find out myself. Ashford Medical looked different when you weren't there for baby ultrasounds or anniversary galas. It looked cold, sterile, like a graveyard for trust. I slipped in through the side entrance with sunglasses on, half spy, half heartbroken wife, and headed straight for the third floor, the fertility wing. "Can I help you?" the receptionist asked politely. "Yes," I said smoothly. "I'm here to pick up records for Dr. Carter. He said they'd be ready." She hesitated. "Do you have authorization?" I smiled, flashing a forged ID badge Claire's tech guy made overnight. "I'm Mrs. Carter." Her face softened. "Oh, of course. One moment." As she disappeared, every step echoed like a heartbeat. When she returned, she handed me a folder. "Dr. Carter said to keep this confidential." "Always," I said, smiling. The second I got to my car, I opened it. Inside were patient logs, sample codes, clinic memos. But at the back, one envelope stood out, marked private. I tore it open. Specimen used, donor 3817. My name wasn't on it. Neither was William's. And underneath, in tiny handwriting, Rebecca Harrington, oocyte donor. My stomach dropped. He hadn't just used another donor. He'd used hers. My husband's mistress wasn't just sleeping with him. She was biologically tied to my children. The air left my lungs. I sat there, gripping the paper, shaking. Every memory of him holding our twins, saying, "They have your smile, Jen," replayed like a sick joke. They didn't have my smile, or his. They had hers. I don't even remember driving home. Just sitting in the driveway, staring at the house, realizing everything inside was built on a lie so twisted it could never be fixed. That night when William walked through the door, I was waiting in the kitchen again. "Rough day at the hospital?" I asked softly. He looked cautious. "What's this?" I slid the folder across the counter. "You tell me." He opened it, scanned the paper, went pale. "Where did you get this?" "Does it matter?" I said. "You stole her eggs, Will. You created our family out of her." He ran a hand through his hair. "It's not what you think." "Really? Because it looks exactly like what I think." He stepped closer. "Jen, listen. There were complications with your samples. Oh, don't you dare feed me that." He slammed his fist on the counter. "You don't understand." "You're right," I said quietly. "I don't, because normal people don't engineer their children behind their wife's back."
He glared at me, breathing hard, his face a storm of guilt and rage. Finally, he whispered, "You're going to regret this." I met his eyes and said, "No, William, you are." He stormed out, slamming the door so hard the glass rattled. 2 days later, the story broke. Ashford Medical suspended both William and Rebecca pending an ethics investigation. The news hit like wildfire. Top surgeon and colleague under scrutiny for fertility scandal. Reporters camped outside. Parents whispered at school. I didn't care. I was done protecting him. The empire was cracking, and I was holding the sledgehammer. Claire called that night. "You did it," she said. "You really did it." I wanted to feel victorious. I didn't. I just felt empty. "Now what?" I asked. "Now," she said softly, "you take everything he loves, his money, his career, his pride, and you walk away clean." I looked out the window at the flashing news vans and said, "Not yet. There's still one more person who deserves the truth. Rebecca." The next morning, I dressed like I was going to war. Black dress, red lipstick, heels sharp enough to kill. I walked into the same cafe where I'd once met Dr. Brooks. She was already there, sitting by the window, sunglasses on, face pale. When she saw me, she froze. "Jennifer," she said weakly. I smiled. "Rebecca." She shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't know you'd find out," I finished. "Oh, honey, you'd be amazed what I can find when someone underestimates me." Her lips parted, but no sound came out. I slid an envelope across the table. "You might want to see this." She opened it, her face draining of color. "I didn't," she stammered. "I swear I didn't know. He told me it was anonymous." "Save it," I said. "I don't care what he told you, but now you know, and so does the world." She covered her mouth, tears spilling. "What are you going to do?" I stood up, my voice calm, cold. "Exactly what he did to me. Walk away, but not before I make sure he never walks into another operating room again." As I turned to leave, she grabbed my wrist. "Jennifer, please. He's dangerous. You don't know what he's capable of." I looked at her hand, then back at her face. "You're right," I said softly. "But neither does he." I walked out into the sunlight, my heels clicking like gunfire on the pavement. For the first time in months, I felt something close to peace. Not happiness, not yet, but power. And the media storm didn't die, it exploded. 2 days after the scandal broke, William's face was on every local news channel. Dr. William Carter, celebrated surgeon, under investigation for fertility fraud. I watched it on repeat, not because I liked seeing his downfall, but because every headline was proof that I wasn't crazy, that my pain had a pulse, and now the whole damn world could hear it. But the thing about fires, they spread fast, and sometimes they burn people you didn't mean to touch. My kids, Noah and Lila, started getting questions at school. Parents whispering, teachers giving that pity look. I tried to shield them, but secrets don't stay secret in a small American suburb, and this one had bloodlines. That morning, I walked into the twins' school, head held high, pretending I didn't see the moms pretending not to stare. One of them, Heather Morrison, queen of the PTA and part-time gossip machine, leaned in with that fake sympathy tone. "Jennifer, honey, I just wanted to say, we're all thinking of you. Must be so hard finding out your husband, well, you know." I smiled sweetly. "Thanks, Heather. How's your husband's gambling problem?" Her jaw dropped. I kept walking. When I got home, Claire was waiting on my porch with 2 lattes and that lawyer grin that meant she was about to ruin someone's life. Legally, of course. "You're trending, girl," she said, handing me a coffee. "He's toast. The medical board just issued a preliminary suspension, and Rebecca, she's on indefinite leave." I took a sip, feeling the bitter warmth. "Good, but it's not enough." Claire raised an eyebrow. "You're not satisfied until he's 6 feet under, huh?" "Maybe not 6, I said darkly, "but buried, definitely." That night, I logged into William's old laptop.
He'd left it in his office, password protected, like that would stop me. Claire's tech guy cracked it in 5 minutes flat. And there it was, a folder named Private Investments. Offshore accounts, shell corporations, wire transfers labeled under fake charities. The man had been laundering hospital research funds into personal ventures. I stared at the screen, my heartbeat steady. "He's been hiding millions," I whispered. Claire whistled low. "Jesus, Jen, that's federal fraud, not just a divorce case. You're sure you want to go down this rabbit hole?" I looked at her. "He built our life on lies. I'm just turning the lights on." We printed every file, every transaction, every receipt, and when I say I didn't sleep that night, I mean my brain ran on adrenaline and vengeance. Around 3 a.m., I caught my reflection in the window, tired eyes, messy hair, a whiskey glass in hand, and realized I didn't look broken anymore. I looked dangerous. The next morning, I dropped the twins at school and headed downtown to Ashford PD. Detective Langley met me in his office, his tie loosened, coffee stains on his shirt, the kind of cop who's seen too much but still gives a damn. "You got something new?" he asked, motioning to the folder in my hands. "Oh, I got more than something," I said, laying the files out on his desk. "Bank statements, hidden accounts, forged medical authorizations. He's been siphoning money through the clinic for years." Langley flipped through the pages, eyebrows raising. "You're sure this is legit?" "Everything is dated, signed, and backed by his credentials. Check the routing numbers. Bahamas, Cayman Islands, Zurich. My husband wasn't just a liar. He's a damn criminal."
You realize this could put him behind bars, right? I nodded. That's the point. Langley studied me for a moment. You've got guts, Mrs. Carter. Most people in your shoes would take the money and run. I gave a cold smile. I'm not most people. He chuckled softly. Yeah, I'm getting that. Before he left, he said something that stuck. You start a fire like this, make sure you can live with the smoke. I thought about that all the way home. Because he was right. Revenge doesn't clean the air. It fills it. That evening, I came home to find the front door cracked open. My stomach dropped. I stepped inside quietly, footsteps careful on the hardwood floor. The living room was empty, but I could feel someone had been there. The air felt wrong, heavy. Then I saw it, a single red rose on the kitchen counter, and next to it, a note in William's handwriting. You've made your point. Stop now or you'll regret it. My pulse spiked. The bastard had been inside my house. I grabbed my phone and called Claire. Jen, calm down, she said. You got a security cam? Front porch, yeah, but the footage might be... Don't touch it. I'll have someone pull the data remotely. Just stay somewhere safe tonight, okay? I hesitated. No, I'm not running from him again. Jen, I said no. I hung up. That night, I slept with a kitchen knife under my pillow. Not because I was scared, because I was done being the victim. 2 days later, things got worse. News broke that Rebecca Harrington was found unconscious in her apartment. Pills, alcohol, the works. Attempted suicide. The whole hospital went into PR lockdown. Langley called me in for questioning. Do you know if your husband had any recent contact with Dr. Harrington? He asked. I froze. He left a note at my house, threatening me. Langley scribbled something down. We'll run it for Prince, but Jennifer, if he's desperate, you need to be careful. Detective, William's been careful his whole life. That's what got us here. When I left the station, a black SUV was parked across the street. Windows tinted, engine running. I watched it for a minute. It didn't move, but my gut screamed, William. I called Claire. He's watching me. Then let him, she said. We're about to light the final match. That weekend, I hosted what I called my goodbye dinner. Just close friends, some wine, soft music. Normal on the surface. But it wasn't a goodbye to them. It was a goodbye to him. I dressed in a silky navy gown, hair curled just enough to look effortless. Every woman who's ever been betrayed knows the power of looking unbothered when your soul's on fire. Halfway through dinner, I felt a shift in the air. And when I turned toward the window, there he was. William, standing on the sidewalk, watching. My hand tightened around my wine glass.
"Excuse me," I murmured, walking outside. He didn't move as I approached. The streetlight cast shadows on his face, making him look half human, half monster. "You don't know when to quit, do you? Guess I learned that from you." He smirked. "You think you've won, but you've got no idea what's coming. Enlighten me." He leaned closer, his breath sharp with whiskey. "You think this is just about you and me. Ashford's been dirty for years. I just played the game better. You expose me, you take down everyone tied to it. You really want that blood on your hands?" My jaw tightened. "I'll take every drop if it means washing you out of my life." He laughed softly. "Careful, Jen. Some fires don't stop where you want them to." Then he turned and walked away, disappearing into the dark like a ghost with secrets. The next morning, Langley called. "We raided one of the offshore accounts. He's on the run, Jennifer. Crossed state lines last night. But that's not all. Rebecca's awake. She wants to talk to you." My heart twisted. "Talk? Why me?" "She said there's something you need to know. Something about the clinic." The hospital room was quiet except for the soft beep of the monitors. Rebecca looked fragile. Pale skin, bruised lips, hospital gown too big for her frame. When she saw me, tears filled her eyes. "Jennifer," she whispered, "I didn't try to die. Someone made it look that way." My breath hitched. "What?" "I found files, same as you. The donor program wasn't just unethical, it was illegal. There were women, dozens of them. Samples swapped, identities erased. William wasn't the only doctor involved." My chest tightened. "Who else?" She swallowed hard. "The board, the funding committee. They used the program for genetic research, black market fertility trials. And when I threatened to expose it," she broke. "They came after me." The room spun. "Are you saying the hospital, the whole damn system, is in on it?" She nodded weakly. "William didn't start it. He just—"
When the truth starts to rot, it doesn't just stink, it spreads. After Rebecca's confession, I didn't sleep for 2 nights straight. My walls were covered in papers, post-its, flowcharts, like some FBI investigation board, except this wasn't about criminals I didn't know. It was about people I used to smile at in hospital fundraisers, people who'd hugged my kids, people who'd toasted to the future. They were the future, all right, the kind that eats you alive. Claire sat on my couch, legs crossed, laptop open, eye scanning bank records. These transactions go way beyond William. Look, research grant 412B, signed off by Dr. Hammond. That's the hospital's chief of operations. I leaned over. He signed off on a fake research program? So that means he's knee-deep in it, Claire finished. And get this, one of the account numbers matches the same offshore string from Williams' files. The whole damn board's been laundering money through fertility research. Jesus, I muttered. They turned women's bodies into profit machines. Claire looked up, voice low. You ready to take down an empire? I met her gaze. I've been ready since the day he lied to my face. The plan wasn't pretty. It was surgical. We weren't going through lawyers or tabloids anymore. We were going for blood. Claire's friend Mason, a freelance journalist who'd been blacklisted after exposing a pharma scandal, joined our little crusade. He had the dirt, the connections, and the kind of reckless bravery that gets you killed or famous. This story, Mason said, tapping his cigarette into a coffee cup, is gonna rock the medical world. But if you think they'll go down quiet, think again. You're poking billion-dollar bears. Good, I said. Let them roar. 3 nights later, I broke into the Ashford Medical Archives. Yeah, broken. Hoodie, gloves, fake badge. The whole 9 yards. Claire thought I'd lost my damn mind. Maybe I had. But I wasn't leaving that hospital without proof. The halls were quiet, sterile, and cold. The kind of cold that gets under your skin. I found the research lab folder, locked drawer, keycard access. My pulse was a hammer in my throat. Mason's voice echoed in my earpiece. You got 3 minutes before the motion sensors reset. Go, go, go! I swiped my fake badge, drawer clicked open, and there it was. A hard drive labeled Project Genesis.
I stuffed it in my bag just as the security lights flickered. Someone was coming. I ducked behind the counter, breath shallow. 2 guards walked in, chatting about last night's football game. One of them laughed. Man, if I was making Ashford money, I wouldn't be pulling night shifts. My jaw clenched. Ashford money. Blood money. They passed by and I slipped out through the side door, heart racing like a bullet train. Back at my house, Mason cracked open the hard drive. It was worse than I imagined. Test subjects listed under initials, fertility samples coded as property, internal memos about gene manipulation trials. Holy hell, he whispered. They were cloning embryos, using unauthorized DNA. My stomach twisted. How long? Years, he said. Maybe decades. Claire sat back, pale. They built an empire off fake hope. I felt my throat tighten. And my husband was their front man. Mason nodded grimly. You expose this? You don't just ruin reputations, Jen. You bring down legacies. Then let's bring them all down. The next morning, I met Langley at a diner off Route 17. He looked tired, like the case had aged him 10 years in a week. I slid him the flash drive. Everything you need's on there. Project Genesis, illegal genetic research, financial fraud, medical manipulation. He stared at me. Jesus Christ, Jennifer. This could start a war. Then kick aside, I said, because I already did. He sighed, rubbing his temples. You realize once this goes federal, your life won't ever be normal again. I smiled bitterly. Normal died the day I opened that DNA report. That night, my house alarm went off at 2:47 a.m. I jumped out of bed, knife in hand, heart pounding. Front door, wide open. Wind howling. I stepped forward and froze. The rose again, blood red, fresh, on the floor. But this time, there was something else. A photo. My kids. Taken yesterday. A note scribbled in red ink. Last warning, stop digging. My knees almost buckled. I called Claire, voice shaking. They're coming after my kids. She went full attorney mode. I'm calling Langley right now. Get them to your sister's house. Go. Now. I didn't argue. I drove like a bat out of hell, tears burning my eyes. Noah and Leela didn't deserve this. None of it. When I dropped them off, Noah looked at me, confused. Mom, what's happening? I swallowed the truth. Just a little storm, baby. It'll pass. But deep down, I knew storms like this don't pass. They consume. By dawn, Mason called. We've got a problem. Someone hacked my system. Files are wiped. What? Everything gone. Backup servers too. Whoever's behind this has government-level access. My skin crawled. Ashford's cleaning house. Claire joined us at my place, face pale. Jen, the hospital announced a press conference for tomorrow. They're gonna spin this before you can expose them. I slammed my hand on the table. Like hell they are. Mason grinned. Then we go public tonight. You got the backups? Always, he said, smirking. You think I play fair? We uploaded everything, documents, memos, emails, to a secure server. Mason set a timed release to major media outlets. Once the clock hits midnight, the story goes live nationwide, he said. No one can stop it. I stared at the screen. Midnight felt like Judgment Day. Around 11:40, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. William's voice. Calm. Cold. Jennifer, listen to me. You have no idea what you're doing. Enlighten me, I said. You're about to unleash something you can't control. The people behind Ashford, they're not doctors. They're investors. You think I was the monster? I was just the middleman. Then you'll burn with them. You'll regret this, he hissed. They'll come for you. I smiled through my tears. Then I'll be waiting. Click. When the clock hit midnight, Mason pressed enter. Within minutes, news alerts exploded. Ashford Medical under federal investigation. Illegal genetic research scandal. Social media lit up like a wildfire. Hashtags, outrage, breaking reports. Claire grabbed my hand. You did it! I shook my head. No, we did it. But before we could breathe, Mason's phone rang. His face strained. Holy, Jennifer, they just found Hammond dead, gunshot wound. They're calling it suicide. My blood ran cold. No way. That's a cover-up, Claire whispered. They're erasing the chain. My voice was ice. Then we move faster. By morning, federal agents swarmed Ashford Medical. Langley called to confirm. We got him, Jennifer. Warrants, arrests, the works. But there's something else. William's gone off radar. You'll find him. You have to. He paused. We found his car near the docks. Blood on the driver's seat, no body. My heart skipped. You think he's dead? Langley exhaled. Or pretending to be. I didn't answer. Part of me wanted him alive to face what he'd done. The other part wanted him gone forever. That night, as rain hit the windows, I sat alone in the dark, sipping whiskey, watching the chaos unfold on TV. Every headline screamed his name, my name, our lies. But underneath the noise, I felt something I hadn't in months. Peace. Until I heard a sound outside. Crunch. Gravel. My body froze. I walked to the porch, flicked the light on. Nothing. Just rain. Then I saw it. An envelope on the doormat. My hands shook as I picked it up. Inside was a single line. The fire's not out yet. No signature, but I knew that handwriting. He thought running would save him, but monsters don't disappear. They evolve. And if William's still breathing, then the real inferno is about to begin.
The letter sat on my table like a live grenade. The fire's not out yet. William's handwriting, sharp, deliberate, too calm for a man who was supposed to be dead. I stared at it until the words blurred, my stomach twisting into knots. Part of me wanted to believe it was a threat from Ashford's cronies, someone trying to scare me into silence. But deep down, I knew. William wasn't the type to vanish. He was the type to crawl out of hell wearing a smirk and gasoline on his hands. By morning, the story had gone national. Ashford's board was under indictment, Rebecca's testimony leaked, and Mason's article was front-page news across every major outlet. Claire was flooded with calls from federal investigators, whistleblowers, even victims. America had finally woken up to the nightmare hiding behind Ashford's perfect white walls. But while the world screamed, I went silent. I couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't over. Not until I saw a body. 2 days later, Langley called. Jennifer, we pulled surveillance from the docks. You need to see this. I met him at the precinct. He rolled the footage. Grainy, black and white. William's car parked at Pier 12. A figure, him, stepped out, bleeding, limping. Then another man approached. Taller, wearing a hood. They argued. Then William got shoved into a boat. Motor roared, lights cut, gone. Langley paused the screen. You were right, he's alive. My pulse jumped. Who's the other guy? We traced the boat. Belongs to a company registered in Delaware, front for one of Ashford's investors. Looks like William flipped on them. I laughed bitterly. Of course he did. The rat turned on the ship. Langley leaned in. If he's running from them, he'll reach out to you. You're his only leverage now. I crossed my arms. Then I'll be ready. That night, I couldn't sit still. The house felt haunted. By memories, by guilt, by every choice I'd made to get here. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. Unknown number again. I let it ring out. Then came a text. Meet me where it started. Attached, an address. The clinic. My heart kicked into overdrive. I grabbed my coat and keys. Claire's voice echoed in my head. Don't go alone. But this wasn't her war anymore. This was mine. Ashford Fertility Center stood dark and empty, its glass walls reflecting streetlight like broken promises. I pushed through the doors, flashlight slicing through the silence. Every step echoed like a heartbeat. The place smelled like disinfectant and lies. When I reached William's old office, the door was cracked open. I pushed it wider. He was there, sitting behind his desk, pale, bruised, alive. My breath hitched. You're supposed to be dead. He smirked weakly. Would have been easier.
You killed Hammond? He killed himself, he said flatly. They were cleaning up the mess. I barely got out. I circled the desk slowly. Why call me? Because I need your help. I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. You have some nerve. He looked up, eyes hollow. You think this ends with Ashford? The investors are bigger than you think. Pharma, politics, biotech firms, they'll bury the story and make it disappear. But I've got files, names, dates, payments. It's enough to kill them for good. So what, you want redemption now? I want survival. I stared at him for a long moment. The man I once loved looked like a ghost of himself, haunted, desperate, still trying to talk his way out of damnation. You think helping me erases what you did to me? You think being the lesser devil makes you clean? His voice cracked. I know what I did to you. To them. I can't undo it. But I can make sure they never do it again.
For a heartbeat, the anger inside me flickered into pity. Then I remembered every sleepless night, every tear, every broken piece of me he created. You're too late for redemption, Will. I grabbed the files he slid across the desk. I'll take it from here. That's when the glass shattered. Bullets tore through the office, shredding papers, splintering wood. William dove for cover. I hit the floor, heart slamming. Muzzle flashes lit the hallway. They found us, he shouted. I crawled behind the desk, adrenaline drowning everything else. How the hell did they know? He groaned, clutching his side. They've been tracking me since the docks. You brought them here? You think I had a choice? I peeked out, two men in black, moving fast. I grabbed the letter opener from the desk, whispering, "Not tonight." William looked up at me, blood staining his shirt. "Go, now, take the files. I'm not leaving you. You should have done that years ago." Before I could answer, he pushed the desk toward the shooters, knocking them back. "Run, Jen," he shouted. I bolted down the hall, clutching the folder tight. Shots cracked behind me. I burst through the side door into the rain, tires screeching in the distance. The sound of sirens grew closer, Lingley's voice calling my name. I turned back once and saw William collapse in the doorway, red spilling into the puddles. Then everything went white. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed. Claire sat beside me, eyes puffy but smiling weakly. "You made it, you stubborn woman." My throat ached. "William?" Her silence said it all. "Gone," she whispered. "This time for real." He took 3 bullets, but not before giving the feds everything. I closed my eyes. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like the end of something too heavy to name. Langley walked in, nodding. "You did good, Jennifer. Ashford's empire is gone. Indictments, arrests, government hearings, the whole system's burning. And the investors? Under investigation. You started a wildfire that's not stopping anytime soon." I managed a tired smile. Guess I finally learned how to fight fire with fire. Weeks passed. The world moved on, but I didn't. Some wounds don't close. They just scar. I sold the house, took the kids, moved upstate. New town, new air, no whispers. Sometimes at night, I'd catch a scent of his cologne or hear a song we used to dance to, and it'd hit me all over again. Not love. Loss. Loss of who I was before all this. But then I'd see Noah's laugh, Lila's light, and I'd remember why I burned the world down in the first place. One morning, a letter arrived. No return address. Inside, one photo. The docks. Empty. Peaceful. On the back, a single sentence in William's handwriting. "Some fires never die." I stared at it for a long time, then tore it in half and let the pieces fall into the fireplace. The flames caught fast, bright and alive, and for the first time in a long while, I smiled. Because he was right. Some fires never die. But this one belonged to me. He destroyed my world, I burned his empire. But from the ashes, I didn't just rise. I learned how to walk through fire and smile while it burned. They say when the storm's over, you're supposed to feel peace, but peace felt foreign, like a language I'd forgotten. The house upstate was quiet, too damn quiet. Some mornings, I'd wake up thinking I was still in that hospital room, adrenaline in my veins, blood on my hands.
Then I'd hear birds instead of sirens, smell coffee instead of antiseptic, and remember, Ashford was gone, William was gone, and somehow I was still standing. But standing ain't living. I'd sit on the porch with my whiskey, staring at the horizon, wondering if surviving was just another kind of punishment. Claire called almost every day, trying to keep me grounded, saying, "You did what nobody else could. You burned the devil's house to the ground." I'd laugh softly and tell her, "Yeah, but the smoke still follows me." Weeks passed, the news cycle moved on, Mason got his career back, Langley made headlines, and the country hailed me as some kind of hero whistleblower. But heroes sleep at night. I didn't. Every creak of the floorboard, every passing truck made my heart race. The paranoia didn't die, it evolved. One night I was locking up when I saw it. A car parked across the road, engine off, headlights dim. My pulse spiked. I stepped out onto the porch, gripping the baseball bat I kept by the door. "You lost or just stupid?" I shouted into the dark. No answer. The car started, drove off slow, too slow. My gut said this wasn't over. The next morning, Claire drove up, tossed me a coffee, and said, "You look like hell." I told her, "Thanks, I've been practicing." She sat beside me and said, "You ever think maybe it's time to let it go?" I stared into my cup. "You don't let go of something that carved you open." She sighed, "You're not at war anymore, Jen." I whispered, "That's the problem. I don't know who I am without it." Later that night, I went through the old files again. Maybe I wanted closure, maybe I was chasing ghosts, but tucked in the bottom of the folder was something I hadn't seen before. A flash drive. No label, just silver casing. I hesitated, then plugged it into my laptop. A single folder appeared. Phoenix Protocol. My stomach flipped. Inside, video logs. The first one opened with a timestamp 2 weeks before Ashford fell. The screen flickered. William's face appeared, pale and desperate. "If you're seeing this, then I'm either dead or close to it. Jennifer, they were never going to stop with me. The investors, they've already moved operations. Different name, different city. They call it Phoenix because they plan to rise from the ashes. Don't trust anyone, not even Langley." The screen glitched, then cut out. My breath caught. No, 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 no. I replayed it. Same message, same warning. My heart pounded like a drum. I grabbed my phone, called Langley, straight to voicemail, tried again. Nothing. I drove to his office in town, but it was empty. Door locked, lights off. The sheriff said he'd been transferred to D.C. 2 days ago, but something in his tone made my skin crawl. Back home, I paced the floor, the fire I thought I'd buried roaring again. What if William wasn't lying? What if this was round 2 waiting to happen? Mason called that night, his voice low. "Jen, you still have the files?" "Yeah, why?" "I just got an encrypted email from an unknown sender. Said, you took down Ashford, now finish what you started." Attached was a map. Arizona, a place called Phoenix Biotech. Sound familiar? My heart stopped. It's starting again. Claire showed up the next morning, suitcase in hand. "You're not going alone," she said. "Like hell I'm letting you ride into another fire without backup." I grinned faintly. "You sure you're up for round 2? She smirked. "Baby, I brought coffee at a loaded Gluck. Let's roll." The desert air hit different. Dry, sharp, unforgiving. The facility looked abandoned from the outside, but I'd learned monsters hide best in plain sight. We parked a mile away, snuck in through a side fence. Inside, it was spotless. New labs, new equipment, and the same logo faintly painted on a crate. AMI. Ashford Medical Innovations. My blood ran cold. "Phoenix, my ass," I muttered. "It's the same beast." Claire found a file labeled Project Renewal. Inside, blueprints, funding lists, even Langley's signature. "Son of a bitch," she whispered. Before we could process it, the alarms blared, red lights flashing, boots thundering down the hall. "Run!" I shouted. We sprinted toward the exit, bullets slicing the air. Claire yanked me behind a wall, yelling, "They were expecting us!" "How?" I shouted. "Because someone tipped them off." I peeked out and froze. Langley stood at the end of the corridor, gun in hand, badge glinting under the red light. "Jennifer," he said calmly, "put the files down. You have no idea what you're interfering with." I stepped forward. "So it's true. You sold out." His jaw tightened. "You think you can burn down every monster without becoming one? You started a chain reaction. I'm just controlling the fallout." I laughed bitterly. "You're not controlling it, you're feeding it." Claire raised her gun. "We're not walking away." Langley smirked. "Neither am I." The next seconds were chaos. Gunfire, shouting, smoke. I remember diving, grabbing Claire, the sound of glass shattering. Then silence. When I opened my eyes, Langley was gone, files scattered across the floor. Claire bleeding, but alive. "We gotta move," she gasped. I nodded, scooped up the drive, and ran until my lungs burned. We made it out just before the facility exploded behind us, fire roaring into the night sky like judgment itself. I stood there, chest heaving, watching it burn. "You think it's finally over?" Claire whispered. I looked at the flames and shook my head. "Nah, fires like this don't end. They evolve." Weeks later, I mailed the Phoenix files to every investigative outlet in the country. Let them dig. Let them see what real rot looks like. I didn't care about fame anymore. I just wanted truth to burn brighter than lies. That night, as I sat by the fire with my kids asleep upstairs, I thought I heard a whisper outside. Not wind, not memory. A voice. "You finished what we started." I turned, but no one was there. Just the flames crackling, alive and hungry. And for the first time, I didn't fear it. Because maybe the fire wasn't my curse. It was my calling. They thought the fire died when Ashford fell. But the truth? The embers never died. They just waited for oxygen. And I'm done running. Next time, I'll be the one lighting the match.
If this story touched your heart or made you feel every twist of pain and justice, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Your support means everything and keeps these emotions alive on screen. And before you go, leave your valuable thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how this